Okay. Enough of that stuff. Oh, also the new Superman movie is out today. I can't wait to go see it this weekend. You've got to I always say I'm going to go see a movie in the theaters, but I got to go. I want to go see Superman. I don't know why I'm like so adamant to you guys. You guys got to keep me on. You got to make sure I see Superman, okay? But I want to see Superman. Okay. Real Housewives of Orange County. Oh my God, it just feels like yesterday that we were recapping season 18 and now we're doing season 19. As with any recaps, if you are new to the show, my God, I am sorry. I am going to do some voices. They're going to sound nothing like these people. There's going to be some that will really grate on your nerves, potentially Jeana, potentially. That's what I would guess. But I try to have fun, right? But we know we're just being silly. We're being goofy. Now, this is a strong start to the season. Everybody seems very angry, especially Emily Simpson against Katie Janela, who is entering her second season. And I think it's tough because Katie, in this first episode, you do empathize and feel for her in certain ways because at the reunion on season 18, it was revealed she obviously had a lot of issues with her kids and her previous relationship, and that she had signed over custody at one point with her children. And that you can tell that obviously is something that has affected her a great deal. I really liked Katie last season, but it seems like Katie unfortunately lies a lot in terms of, I don't know if that is something in her normal life. I've met her one time in person at the Jeff Lewis show, which by the way, I'm back on Jeff on Monday. So tune into Sirius XM. But when I met her, she was lovely. She was great. I got such a good vibe and feeling from her. And I hope that it is being on the show that kind of drives people to madness, that it makes you start trying to get information about others and dealing with bloggers. And we know a couple of them. I mean, I think the Bravo Babe is one of them that gets brought up in this episode. And another duo of girls all about the Real Housewives. I think all about TRH is their podcast. And they are the ones that I believe interviewed Katie Janela's daughter last season. Now, when it comes to the kid, it's like the kids, it's like the same vibe with the Valley. I don't want to see him. I don't want to see him. We always say you can't talk about the children. I mean, that's been brought up so many times on every iteration of Housewives, and yet the children still seem to be a part of it. No matter how young or old, I just usually get really uncomfortable with it being about the children. I also don't think that children should be going on podcasts. And that's no shade to the podcast that had them on. I don't think I would have taken that interview, but I don't begrudge anybody that would. I mean, it is a part of the story. But Emily is pissed about all of this. And Katie does seem to, and it seems like this is going to go throughout the season because we see a whole lie detector scene later on in the season in the previews for the season. And it seems like this is going to be brought up again and again that she is going to get caught in these lies. We also know that she does not make the final cast trip with these ladies. I also heard she had gotten kicked off the show, which I don't know if I necessarily believe because she has been participating in press for this show. But we do know she is not on that final cast trip. Now, I think it's a solid start. Like I said earlier when I watched it, I think to you guys a couple weeks ago, I said if you liked last season, it feels like it's just a direct continuation. The only difference is that Alexis Bellino and Johnny J. I'm John Janssen. Johnny J is nowhere to be seen. I think they're mentioned once or twice, and I'll allow a mention here and there, but I'm glad you don't need it. Gretchen Rossi is not in this episode. I figure she pops up in episode 2, but you do see a little Instagram comment from Gretchen Rossi in one scene. Now, there's a lot to like in this. There are some serious topics in regards to motherhood with Emily, Jeana, and Big Bull Travis. Travis has got big balls. I'm sorry, I'm warming up with my Jeana, you guys. I'll get there. I'll get to the full annoyance that I know it has the potential to get to. Jeana and Travis have moved back in together. I will say what really ignited my rage, though, was I watched Watch What Happens Live tonight, and Tamra was the guest. And as always, Tamra is trying way too hard, and she said something that was so offensive out of nowhere that you can tell even Andy was taken aback of like, wait, what? Is they were talking on the they were doing like a funny little silly stupid game, and Andy asked which housewife has overstayed their welcome. And she immediately answered Shannon Beador. She said Shannon Beador. And I just thought it was so unwarranted and uncalled for. Tamra said that she thinks Shannon is the number one housewife who has overstayed her time on the show, citing that it's the same thing every season with her and she has no growth. Tamra is already falling into the pitfall that she always falls into every season, is that you come at somebody. Shannon obviously has her problems, but I think she survived a season which felt like she was waterboarded for the entire season, and she came out shining and thriving and think about having to do a season with Alexis dating the dude that you had just broken up with, on top of dealing with the aftermath of the DUI, all of that stuff, feeling the shame from that. And I think she did the best she could, and she came off shining. Then we saw her on Bravo's Love Hotel, which, I think Shannon is another one of those that is just a great reality star. When she's in a scene, she's activated, and I don't mean activated by being angry, but she's just passionate. She's just passionate, And I got to, I told you about that Jeff Lewis thing in Vegas a couple weeks ago, and I was playing blackjack with her. And for me, I was losing, but for me, it was like I would have paid double. I would have lost double just to have that experience. And she was so funny and so fun and very animated Shannon. And I really liked that. It was a good experience, which I was kind of happy to report. But Tamra saying this shit, and especially when it's like, I try to go into these seasons like a clean slate in some ways, and it immediately took me back to, damn you, Tamra. You are a necessary evil, but my God, you make it hard to ever root for you. The fact that you would come out, because this episode that we're about to talk about, there's nothing weird between Shannon and Tamra. And the fact that you're like, oh, I dislike, there's no need for Shannon Beador. There's no need for you then. There's no need. You think who is the most overplayed housewife? You then. The same thing could be said of Tamra. It's always like she's trying to create some funny moment and some like, ooh, did I say that? And it's always like the dumbest shit she says that it's like, this isn't even, it could be a good moment if you actually put some thought into it besides saying something that really rarely makes sense. Like, you think Shannon saved your fucking season last season. Yeah, I'm already activated. Like, that's what I'm saying. I saw Watch What Happens Live and I was like, okay, it's an easy breezy show. We'll get through the recap, relatively quickly. And then I saw that and I was like, oh, I'm so angry at Tamra already. I shouldn't be this angry at Tamra until halfway to like 3/4 through the season. And now I'm like, how dare you? And we're going to get into it because she has some idiotic scenes in this first episode. She's literally diagnosed as a slow adult by her therapist. That's not true, but we do have that she was diagnosed on the spectrum, which she has to backtrack on. That is a part of this first episode. And it's highly damaging to people that are actually on the spectrum, yes. But in the confines of this show, it makes it so Tamra's the one that looks dumb as hell, which you can kind of appreciate the dark comedy of that moment of somebody seeing a therapist one time, going onto a podcast with Freddie Mellencamp and going, guess what, Freddie? Turns out I'm on the spectrum. No! We have within this same episode, Emily talking about a very real issue that she is having with her son that has had to go through a battery of tests. You don't just sit down for a 55-minute session for the first time in therapy and then you're like, hey, I figured it out. You're on the spectrum. Okay, good. I'll see you next week, doc. No, that's not how it is. And to oversimplify things that actually mean something to so many families in this world is so fucking disgusting. And the thing was, I would have taken it easy on those moments, but then I had to watch What Happens Live, and there was no need for her to come out at Shannon like that. It wasn't warranted. That's not where the conversation was going. It wasn't funny in any way. And at the same time, I do realize that kind of anger is what makes these shows go. So Tamra, how dare you? And also congratulations. You got me really activated, which is that bodes well for a season of Orange County. Now, this is the 19th season. Next season will be the 20th. 20 years of Real Housewives of Orange County. So let's get into the recap finally. Only 55 minutes in, you guys. We did it. Okay, here we go. The recap finally. Dear Lord, please make this a fun recap that we solve the world's problems with, and it sends us into the weekend for a great weekend ahead. Season 19, episode 1. This is called Revolving Door of Lies. Woo! I just got goose pimples. My God, revolving doors of lies. A revolving door of lies. Sounds like the Brock Davies book title. This is the description the cable company gives us. Shannon is loving the single life. Jenn preps for her wedding. Emily reveals a heartbreaking family issue. Tamra is horrible. No, it says Tamra opens up about her past trauma in therapy. Heather deals with problems at her Beverly Hills mansion. She. Now, we do not have the Real Housewives of Orange County taglines yet. So we start off this episode where we see some clips from the season, especially the one where they're hooked up to the lie detector test. Which, I mean, that's just, if you're going to title something Revolving Door of Lies, that's a great place to start. And we see that, and then all of a sudden we hear like the fun, like, dee, 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 and we see like the coastline of Orange County. I forgot with Orange County, the production company does a little something different than other Housewives iterations, is that they'll always do like these kind of like boxes, like they'll show a coastline and all of a sudden you see boxes of like a video box of like people laying out, a video box of people lying out under an umbrella. You see a surfer on a wave. You know, it's just like, yeah, we get it. We're in Orange County, man. Yeah, we're doing it. We all of a sudden see like 3 boxes of just birds on the beach. I'm like, who is doing these like little in-between scenes things where they're like, fuck it. Hey, Alex, Mr. Baskin, what if I did 3 boxes of birds on the beach? You think that would be cool? We're looking for 5 seconds to fill here. Yeah, why not? Let's just fucking throw up some birds. Now, we start over at Shannon's house, and all of a sudden we hear Shannon go, Archie, hi. I get you some treats. It's on my fucking plate. No, I get you some treats. And I will tell you, because remember last season, Archie, Shannon's beloved dog, loved by all. You could tell Archie was not feeling last season. Archie was just like, no, I'm not. I refuse to participate. I don't even want to be a friend of this season. I was just like, and I respected Archie for that. I was like, of course, Archie, you don't need to do this to yourself. But I love that Shannon is now bribing Archie to be in scenes. She's like, I got you some treats, Archie. And so we see Archie. Archie already seems happier this season. What if I just did an hour on Archie? Archie, I think, you know what? I think they showed Archie in this first scene because I think Archie's going to be like a recurring character. I think Archie might have dated Gretchen Rossi in the past. That could be. I do think, I know Gretchen did say she dated a couple dogs, and I do think Archie potentially is one of them. So this is our typical round robin that we do with the Housewives. So we see Archie, and then we see Tamra's house, the house that Hate built, and we see Tamra's dog Rugby, and I'll tell you what, no offense to Rugby, I love all dogs, but Archie is a star. Rugby, no thanks. You're on pause, Rugby. No. But Shannon is talking to Eddie, and just so we're all on the same page, one of the most troubling scenes, we've talked about this ad nauseum in the last 5-6 years that we've done this show, is one of the things that scared the bejesus out of me in an earlier season of Real Housewives of Orange County. And just also hold your loved ones close before I get into this. I just want to remind people of once again is that Tamra and Eddie once filmed a bathtub scene where they were both nakies and they lit candles, and it was horrifying. I mean, truly, it was like Oedipus. I almost stabbed my eyes out. It was a shit show. And the fact, the poor camera guy, obviously, or camera woman, whoever shot that, I think they've gone into witness protection. You can just tell that really probably messed that person's life up for the rest of their life. I mean, we all have kind of weird day jobs here and there, but just imagine the shame in which he had to go to his family that night. And they were like, oh, Dad, you look white as a ghost. What's going on? How was work? And, he's sitting there eating his chicken cutlet and his green beans, and he just can't tell his family that he had to watch 2 adults simulate making love in a bathtub. that one season. And I know it haunts him. I know it has to. You don't go through something like that and not have it have a lasting impact on your life. I still think about it weekly, and I wasn't even there. So anyways, Rugby like jumps up on Tamra, which then I was like, is Rugby? Welcome to the resistance, Rugby. Rugby's literally trying to knock Tamra over. I won't. Ah! Anyway, so they're laughing about Rugby jumping up on Tamra. And then we see other houses in Orange County. We see like construction sites in Orange County. And then all of a sudden, what's that I hear? A major a real estate salesperson in the background. I hear Miss Gina Kirschenheiter going, I want to do whatever helps this house sell quickly. Woo! It's Travis and Jeana talking about selling this house, and they're needing to do a video. And Gina's like, can you do this move, Travis, where you put your fingers along this kitchen island? Yeah, it's a big thing in the real estate game, and you're smiling as you're showing off the kitchen island. And Travis is like, you have to drag your hand like that? Obviously, I think Travis is a very kind-hearted, good man. And he speaks with just kind of a low voice, very monotone, low voice. And then the more I think about it, it's because he has such gigantic balls. So the gigantic balls that Jeana said he had last season, it just probably makes him speak a lot slower and lower, right? Anyways, he's like, I have to drag my hand like that across the island. And she's like, yeah. And Travis is just like, okay, cool. And Gina's like, in a masculine way. Do it in a masculine way, Travis. And Travis goes, that's highly insulting. How about this? Why doesn't Travis just take out his gigantic balls and lay them on the kitchen island? That would be super manly if we're talking about it. Okay, so then all of a sudden we go to Pigeon's roller rink and we meet up with Emily and Shane, and their son biffs it on this. Guys, I have such a bad knee. I see skate scenes like this, and it's so sad. I've gotten to an age where I see that, and I immediately go, oh, I would hurt my knee so bad. I do it with the Love Island USA competitions, too. It's a lot of, stability things. They'll be, slipping and sliding on Jell-O, and I'm like, oh, my knee would give out immediately. Also, I was so worried about Emily's hip. You remember she had, a hip replacement a couple seasons ago? Why is Emily skating at all? I mean, I guess we should be encouraging this. Anyways, Emily's like, Shane, push me. And Shane slaps her on the ass. I love how horny, truly horny Shane Simpson is for his wife still. He's like, I can slap an ass. All right. And Shane's like, well, if you're going to stick it out, I'm going to smack it. I'm Shane Simpson. Okay, so we cut out of that roller skating, and then we're in Heather and Terry Dubrow's LA penthouse because their big mansion that they bought is still not done. And Terry is like, Heather, hey, you notice a change with the gym downstairs? And Terry, it's too early in the episode. Terry lifts up his shirt, and we have to see his body. And Heather's like, there is some abs there. That is amazing, Terry. And Terry is literally putting his fingers there's one. Hey, I don't want to see your nipples, Terry Dubrow. You are a very respected, I feel like I'm watching an episode of Botched right now. And Heather's like, I would do you, Terry. And he's like, tonight, hopefully. And then they laugh. They do that rich person laugh, Okay, so we're almost caught up with all the characters, but then we go over to Jenn Pedranti's and Ryan's place, and Ryan is Jen's fiance, remember? Ryan is also the guy that was caught up in that Shohei Ohtani FBI case, which we don't really hear that much about. I guess we're just going to put that to bed and not talk about it ever again, really, because I was like, I thought that would be more of a storyline, and it doesn't seem like it's going to be, because in this scene, they're getting ready for bed, and they're putting on face masks. And I have to tell you, just what I feel is that Ryan probably has a better skincare routine and a more in-depth skincare routine than Jenn, his fiance. But he has the white face mask, and he immediately drops down to his skivvies, and obviously an in-shape dude, and he probably masturbates to just himself in the mirror. Like truly, like he's not even thinking about what he's just like, God, what was that yesterday with Justice for Jax Taylor when that Twitter account said, obviously, it looks like Jax's body has been chiseled by hand. And that's how I think Ryan thinks of his body. It's a body that's been chiseled by hand. And then Jenn goes, you're so sexy. I like the underwear and the mask. I don't. It fucking, like, I feel like I'm watching a Lone Ranger porno. Are you kidding me? And I always feel like those scenes are like, yeah, we're getting this slice of life scene. But when you think about the reality of that scene is like, they have a camera guy come over to grab 20 seconds of footage. You're like, hey, in this scene, just do whatever you do, getting ready for bed, and we're just going to capture it. And then, like, do you let the camera guy out? Like, okay, have a good night. Like, it's not just, they don't just live with these people. These are scheduled shoots. Okay, so then we see like this white BMW, like do a U-turn in the middle of this street, and we realize it's Shannon Hot Rod Beador. She's like, and Katie Janela is getting into this white BMW, and Shannon is trying to move this umbrella to the back of the seat. And she's like, get over there. Okay. And Shannon sees Katie get in the car, and she's like, oh my gosh, you're so summery. And Katie's like, we're matching, Shannon, because they're both wearing white tops. And Shannon's like, how funny. So they do that awkward hug in the car. Katie says she just got back from Arizona. Her husband, Matt, was hosting for the Golf Channel, and it's this crazy party. And Shannon's like, I know. I know a lot of people that go every year. I know that are there. You know, Shannon's like, a lot of single men. And Katie's like, oh my God, Shannon, it was a sea of penis, which also was the working title for Love Hotel for a bit. But Shannon laughs about that. She goes, sea of penis. Oh my gosh, Katie, you're funny. And then she goes, Katie, I did my manifestation for 2025, and men are not on the list. I'm having fun. And then, I shit you not, Shannon's in the car, and she picks up what my first thought was. I thought it was a White Claw. I realized it's a Celsius, but I was like, Shannon, no, Shannon, you're driving. Do not pick up a White Claw. It looks like the same can as a White Claw. And I was like, no, Shannon, no. And then I realized it was a Celsius, which is potentially more damaging than a White Claw. In a talking head, Shannon's like, if I look back to where I was a year ago, I am a completely different person. And we flash back 4 boxes with everything that had happened last season, from Alexis Bellino to fighting with Tamra, with the scene with her dad, you know, talking about owing John Janssen $75,000. And if I don't pay him, he's going to sue me. And all of this is reminding me of how intense that last season was. Remember that? And then with the bloody car crash photo. Anyways, they're driving down the road, and she points out something to Katie. She's like, the night I met John, it was there. And then in a talking head, she goes, I don't think about John Janssen at all. She literally just pointed out a spot where they met to Katie. I don't think about John Janssen at all. I did settle the lawsuit. I did, because it was very important for me to not have any ties to him anymore. So we settled on $60,000. Didn't he want 75? They settled for 60. So, and she goes, so enjoy that wedding that I'm paying for. And we see an Instagram post of Johnny J and Alexis Bellino. That Instagram post where she was like, celebrating 9 months of love and laughter and looking forward to my forever with you, Johnny J. Every moment together has been a gift. I am so in love with you and the beautiful life we're building together with our kids. And the answer is 1,000,000,000,000% yes. 1 Corinthians 13:13. And now these 3 remain: faith, hope, and love. But the greatest of these is love. Hashtag gift from my mom. Do you think sometimes we should just do away with hashtags? Like, yeah, like, is anybody out there going like, you know what? I'm going to type in gift from my mom and see who has used that hashtag. Yeah, the Alexis Johnny J wedding, I think that's still full steam ahead, right? Who knows? She tells Katie in the car, she goes, I invited everyone to go to the Golden Door, which, you know, is just, Katie thought that they would say, okay, like bring your friends for a day. I never thought a place that amazing, the Golden Door. And I had never heard about the Golden Door before. Rebecca had heard about the Golden Door and she said it's like supposedly this amazing place. And I did bring up to Shannon at that Jeff thing that I'd seen this episode. And I said, oh, the Golden Door. She's like, it is amazing. It is amazing, Ryan. We flash back to 1 week earlier when Shannon was staying at the Golden Door. And she says, when I was there a couple weeks ago, I won Shannon Beador Boxing Blaster. So they do these activities and Shannon, that's a scene I would love to see is like Shannon winning whatever Boxing Blaster is. Like Shannon, what I'm picturing is like a Rocky kind of like da-da-da, in this corner, weighing in at 98 pounds, Shannon storms Beador. And her like sideline coach is Archie, like, ruff, 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 ruff. You can do it, Shannon. Ruff, ruff. Okay, so now we get out of that, and we're pulling up at a car dealership with Katie and Shannon, right? And so we find out that Katie is shopping for a new car. I will say the front desk lady's on the phone, and it really threw me off because she's wearing a big white knitted babushka hat. And I was like, how cold is it right now? I wish they would put the actual date of filming on these episodes because it just threw me off. I know I'm supposed to be paying attention to the lines and I just keep thinking that lady is wearing a full piece of wool over her head. But Shannon's like, is there anybody that could put some air in my tires while we're here? Is there anybody in service? Okay. But Katie is looking for a 7 Series. She says she has had 5 of them. And she wants a new one, If you got it, you got it. Katie asked Shannon, what do I have to do to get one of those red bows on whatever car I get, like the ones that they do have in the car commercials? And Shannon's like, you might have to do something special in the bedroom. And Katie's like, back door is only for Matt's birthday. And I think Katie is joking, but I do want to talk about that phenomenon. I've heard it many times. I've heard it a couple times on reality shows where it's like, and by the way, if you're listening with your kids, we're, trigger warning. I'm going to mention ANAL, the backdoor stuff is, I don't think that would be a great birthday gift. Cause it was just like, obviously it's not something that Katie likes. The fact that I've taken one line and I'm really thinking about it disturbs me as well, folks. Kids, if you're still listening, let me explain what anal is. It's when you have a deep shame. No, but so for Matt's birthday, if we're to believe Katie's line, and she is being made out to be a liar, so who knows? But here, it's your day to have anal sex, and why would it be pleasurable to Matt if Katie didn't enjoy it? You know what I'm saying? Isn't the best quote unquote sexual relations when two people enjoy it together. I've gone way off topic here. Anywho, they're shopping for a car. And Katie in a talking head says, Shannon and I have a blast. And after the reunion, Shannon and I got a little closer. And I felt like Shannon was one of the only ones that stood up for me. And we flash back to 4 months earlier at the reunion where Emily is going in on Katie saying, there's always a different story than someone else's story, Katie. And Shannon's like, this is a lot of investigation here. So that was her standing up for Katie. Katie says, I felt like that was a real turning point for us in our friendship, which is great. So it's always good to have an ally when you go into a season. Nobody should be an island on these shows. And it does seem like Katie is getting these cards stacked against her, but you also have to take that with some seriousness. They don't just pick that out of nowhere. There are girl groups in Housewives that do gang up on people. There are mean girl cliques in life and on reality TV, obviously. But usually there's something that they are hanging their hat on to go hard. But at this point, Shannon is still in Katie's corner. Through the season trailer, we do see that changes at some point, right? So Shannon says, Katie, I was with Emily yesterday, and we go one day earlier, and they're at some doctor's thing, and they're doing some kind of muscle stimulator contraction, 2 people. It looks like Kathy Hilton when she's being put back together in her house. Emily's got all these wires on her stomach and stuff. And I'm like, there's gotta be a better way to work out your abs. But at the same time, I'm like, if anybody wants to let me do this for free, I'm down. I'm like, I'll let you video me with this ab thing on. But this cutting back and forth, I don't like. Just tell a linear story. Shannon goes, Katie, there's some certain things you just don't go there. So when Emily's kids, Katie, were brought up with your daughter, and Katie says, the thing with Kylie, her daughter, was such a nothing, Katie tells Shannon. I thought it was funny. It turned into this big thing. And we flash back to last season with Kylie and Katie talking to Tamra and her daughter. And Kylie saying, I went over and I babysat. And they're like, we don't really like Heather. She's mean to our mom. Remember that Kaylee said Emily's kids said that Heather Dubrow was mean to their mom. And Emily took great offense to this, said there's no way her kids could have said this. Now, I tend to believe Emily, but I will say, if I was a kid, kids pick up on things, and it would not be out of the realm of possibility. Like, I think if I was a kid and I was around Heather Dubrow might scare me a little bit. She's just very intense. It's a different kind of intensity than Shannon has, a different kind of intensity than Emily and Jeana have. It's a very intense thing. And I could truly see, especially in earlier seasons with Emily and Jeana, that things might be said around families of like, oh, honey, Shane, come over here and smack me on the butt because I just had to deal with Heather and it was rough. That lady has it out for me. It made sense to me. Anyways, then another clip from last season towards the end, we have Emily talking to Katie Emily confronting Katie about this thing with Kaylee. Hey guys, it's so funny because I'm like piecing it together and trying to remember things from last season. And at the same time, I don't care. I'm like, either way, I'm fine. But Shannon continues with Katie and says, I think it was after that Emily's ex-nanny came forward and all about the Real Housewives podcast. And I think maybe seems like a news article pops up on the screen and it says, exclusive, Emily Simpson's former babysitter speaks out saying Emily's kids know everything and hated Heather Dubrow. Now her kids are like 8 or 9. And I guess I want to be competitive in this industry. So Emily's kids, if you're listening, I would like to offer both of you kids to come on the show. I'll buy you some Yoo-hoo and some Twizzlers, whatever you're in the mood for. Let's get you kids on the show to talk about this. But this is where I tap out on like reality shows in general. And there is a huge portion of the audience that gets so fucking jacked. They're like, oh, I'm going to make a Reddit post about the former babysitter. And like, I don't give a I'm so sorry. I don't give a shit. Like, I almost laughed that a former babysitter came forward at all. Like, go get a fucking life. Go for how would I don't think there's like a union for babysitters, but if there would, it should get you kicked out of a union. If a former babysitter started doing articles for Real Housewives blogs, get the fuck out of town. Anyways, Katie goes, no. The babysitter reached out to me, Shannon. And Shannon goes, Emily is saying that you told the nanny where to put her information out there. So they're saying that Katie put them in touch with all the Real Housewives girls for this exclusive interview with Emily Simpson's babysitter. Guys, next week, So Bad It's Good presents Emily Simpson's former nail tech. Does Emily tip well? Does she like a polished finish? Does Shane ever come in with her? Like, yeah, Emily Simpson's garbage man. This week on So Bad It's Good. Katie in the Talking Head says, after the reunion, Emily's ex-nanny reached out to me and said, your daughter's not lying. This is my experience. And I love that now that the kids aren't lying with Kylie saying that the kids were talking shit about Heather Dubrow being mean to their mom. But I also like that the kids talk nothing but that. So anybody that these kids, Emily Simpson's kids, get into, like, anytime the kids are around a stranger, they're like, hey, you know Heather Dubrow? Yeah, I got a story to tell. Like, do you know how crazy that is? That the kids, on top of being kids, they just want to talk Heather Dubrow to anybody that will listen. Anyways, we see another exclusive where we see more of the Real Housewives article with quotes from it. And the text says, I just wanted to let you know that Emily is totally lying. I don't like your daughter taking the blame for that. So they're saying that Katie is the middleman brokering this interview with this. But also, I will say the thing that is troublesome, if you kind of take it down the road a little bit, is that First off, the babysitter reaching out to Katie specifically. Did the babysitter reach out to other people? And the fact that Katie is interacting with these people. And you can almost forgive a little bit of it for being a rookie, and also like maybe feeling so much heat that you feel like you need a little protection. But you do not need to interact with everybody. Like, you don't need to interact. And I think a lot of first season reality stars get themselves into a lot of trouble by doing this. But at the same time, psychologically, you do look for people to be in your corner. You do, I'm sure Tamra isn't the nicest person to work around. Sorry, Tamra. So anybody that's saying something nice or wanting to interact with you, there is something nice about that. There is something comforting. It's not real. I mean, that's the problem you learn later on as you continue in this whole arena, right? But Katie's like, it was really validating that this lady said this. And I said to her, there's nothing I can do. So I told her, this is the podcast Kylie just did. And we flash back to Kylie on this podcast where Kylie says to the ladies, I'm like, why are you making it seem like I'm this girl spreading these rumors when I'm literally telling a story? I thought it was funny. Katie says she then reached out to the podcast and I had nothing to do with any of that going out. So Katie is saying, I told her, but I didn't arrange that at all. Shannon tells Katie she's really upset about it. Emily is really upset about it. Uh-oh, our first little nugget of a storyline. Now we're over at Gina's new house. And Gina's helping Jeana do Gina's dog is helping Jeana with the dishes. Like, argh. Travis is coming into the kitchen and going to get the kiddos. And she's like, Travis, Emily's coming over. We're just going to hang, She hasn't been here to our new place. I want to show her the house because I'm so excited. In a talking head, she says, Travis and I have made the decision to move back in together. And remember, last season, they had moved out. It was really sad. And we flash back to 1 week earlier where Gina's like, Travis, are you going to carry me over the threshold to our new place? And they're in like the living room and there's like so much space that there's no furniture in there. And she's like, oh my God, Travis, it's so echoey. You hear that? It's square footage. Woo. Think about that. She's went from Casita Jeana to Townhome Jeana. Jeana Townhome. I don't know. But I mean, it really is awesome. I mean, like, all kidding aside, Jeana, from where we've seen her humble beginnings on this, to actually selling real estate, to like moving on with her life in a very positive way. I think that's awesome, right? She continues in a talking head. There are not a lot of homes this size in my neighborhood. It's 2,800 square feet with 5 bedrooms. Last year, it was very easy to say, oh, we can't afford something together because that wasn't the real issue. Uh-oh, Jeana was lying last season, you guys. She goes, this is going to sound weird, but I took a trip to Bali over the summer, and honestly, it was a life-changing trip. I so connected to the wind when I was there, and there were so many signs. And I found out that I was living with fear and making my decisions out of fear. I love that she went to Bali. I was like, oh my God, Jeana, please say you did ayahuasca. I ran into Jesse Lally from the Valley and he gave me some ayahuasca. And then we flopped around our naked bodies in the wind. Woo, I'm Jeana. Woo. Anyways, Travis is leaving. Jeana continues in the talking head. Everything that happened with Travis and his ex, it really scared me. We flash back to the reunion where Gina's explaining to Andy, there's been actual incidents where my kids are scared. And I'm decided I'm not going to let anybody else's inability to not move on with their life dictate mine. I feel fucking free, Jeana said. I feel free. I'm Jeana. I'm free. Kirschenheiter is free. Good for Jeana. I think that's great. It does sound like Travis's ex has made their life hell. Obviously, we have not heard her story. Maybe she'll talk to all about the Real Housewives of the Bravo Babe. But we don't know the ex's story. We just know Jeana and Travis's. And I think with anything, we gotta book a trip to Bali together, you guys. Because we are also, I live in fear every day of my life. Emily comes in. There's a lot of noise. Ha! And Emily's like, it smells nice. Oh, good. I lit some candles. Woo, Bed Bath & Beyond. Emily loves candles, she says. Oh my God, we have a Brittany Cartwright like wood carving etching on the wall that says G&T, Gina and Travis. Their living room is not set up at all. It's like camping chic. There's just some like lawn chairs, kind of like my college dorm room. But Emily likes it, says it's very spacious. And then they start doing like a Step Brothers little routine with that awesome Will Ferrell movie of like, oh my God, we can do so many activities with all this space. You can tell that Emily and Jeana have such a solid friendship. Emily in a talking head says, you know, clearly her and Travis are in the right direction, but she cannot kick him out again. One time, that's it. If she does it again, he's gone. He's going to move those big balls somewhere else. Jeana's like, I got to tell you something, Emily. I went to the dog beach the other day with Jenn and Shannon Beador. And we flash back to the dog beach where Shannon and Archie and the dogs, Jenn Pedranti's there as well. And Jeana's telling Emily, Jenn basically told me that Katie did tell Jenn, the nanny, reached out to Katie, and Katie gave her the information for that podcaster. Not Ryan Bailey. No, he's upstanding, but another podcaster. So it's like this girl is basically like, hey, Katie, I want to ruin Emily's life and I want to shit talk her children. And Katie's like, oh, here's the phone number to go do it. Emily in a talking head says, Annabelle, her daughter, Annabelle's, she says this to Jeana, Annabelle's friends, they have social media and they see these things and they tell her the things that they've read about her. And Jeana's like, that's so awful. She should go to Bali. And Emily's like, that breaks my heart. Emily says in a talking head, I have never felt so violated in my life. I get that Katie cannot control the fact that the nanny reached out to her. However, instead of telling me or ignoring it, she connected the nanny with the podcasters. Dirty work. She tells Jeana, that blogger publishes it. And Gina's like, as if it's real, which it's not. Emily says the problem is the bloggers put it out, people read it, and then they replicate it so that the general public can all comment on my parenting and my children. It's so what, like I said, I'm just not in that avenue of Housewives because I've always thought that Emily's a great mom. Like, I don't even question it. Like, it's not even a concern. It's not even something that I think about doing my recaps. I'm like, oh, I like Annabelle. I like her kids. I like whatever. Jeana goes, Emily, she doesn't think she did anything wrong. Katie thinks she did nothing wrong. We cut back to Shannon and Katie scene at the BMW, and Shannon tells Katie, our kids don't go on podcasts because they are not talented enough. No, she goes, they do not go on podcasts, but you were okay with it. And Katie goes, about Kylie telling the truth? Yes, I was okay with it. And I was pissed, Shannon. You talk about my custody and something that was extremely painful to not just me, but those 3 kids. That's not apples to apples, Shannon. Giving up custody of my kids was actually my choice for them. And we flash back to the reunion of Emily telling Katie, for you, Katie, to lose both physical and legal, you have to be unfit or you sign papers and say, I don't want anything to do with my kids. And Andy's like, what happened, Katie? Katie goes, I was living in a facility in Atlanta, a mental health / rehab facility with Jax Taylor. No, she said, I was living in a facility in Florida. He was immediately awarded the kids because I could not provide a place for them to live. I never miss time with my kids, she said at the reunion. Shannon says, having been through such a horrible situation, we should be celebrating that people have survived instead of cutting me down and use it against me. Sorry, that wasn't Shannon. That was Katie saying that. She feels like we should celebrate the survival of all of this and the thriving. Katie tells Shannon, saying those things about me being a mother was fucking terrible. That's not okay. And I haven't gotten an apology for that. And Shannon's like, well, I really think that you need to have a talk with Emily. And Katie's like, I am happy to. We cut back to Jeana, and Gina's like, oh, I've had it with her. And so, like, I have to get some of this out. So I actually called Katie to invite her to coffee. Jeana in a talking head says, it's very upsetting to me because I brought Katie in this group. And if I can get through to her, maybe she'll have a shot to course correct this. Or maybe we can just completely destroy her. Woo! Jeana, let's fight fire with fire. can I talk to one of your nannies on this podcast? I don't know how it will help, but let's just face this head on. Emily goes, Jeana, I want to go to this coffee. I do, but I have like mom things going on that are really hard. But I have to take time out of my day to deal with this bitch. Emily throws out the bitch word. That's so fucked up, she says. I shouldn't have to do that. Jeana's like, I'm telling you right now, she has pushed it too fucking far. I got to tell you, ladies, we have used so many curse words in the first 10 minutes of this season, and I love it. And folks, that is our first commercial break. We come back and Shannon is on the phone with her daughter Stella, and her daughter's in Amsterdam, and Shannon's like, oh, Amsterdam. Archie, by the way, is in this scene as well, eating another treat. So I feel like Shannon just leaves out a bunch of treats for Archie, so Archie will remain in the shot. But Stella lets us know that she is going to a rave. And Shannon's like, are you serious? And she's like, yeah, it started at 11. Right now it's 1 a.m. and it ends at 7 in the morning. And Shannon looks horrified. In a talking head, she goes, I miss my girls, of course. But I am so happy that both Sophie and Adeline are in New York City. Wait, why are they on Next Gen NYC? Anyways, the DJ that Stella's going to go see is from 2:30 to 5:30 in the morning. Oh, to be young again. Shannon says, Stella, I wanted to stay close to home. And so it's so ironic that now she's living in Europe and she's going to spend all 4 years there. I tried to explain to Stella, life isn't always going to be this way. And going to spend, at some point, you are going to have to get a job. And she's on the phone. She goes, Stella, what happens if you do drugs? And I would like, you have sometimes a really great time and you connect with people. But Stella says, you die. Yeah, exactly, Stella, you die. Exactly. Archie's like, yes, exactly. Then we go to Heather and Terry's Beverly Hills house, and they're, talking about like, Heather's like, I am so nervous about Max going to Paris this semester. She is doing so well, Terry. Stella is in Paris, and she and Max have communicated. And we see a picture of Shannon's daughter and Max, and Terry's like, yeah. I love when Terry's I like Terry's off-work clothes. It's always like a leather jacket and black shirt and black pants. And we see an emptied pool at this big mansion that they bought last season. He's like, this place looks like shit. How much asbestos did he find? And so I guess this place is just littered with asbestos, which is kind of a great, it's very fitting for what I feel like is the driving force behind Orange County, asbestos. Terry says his stepfather died from asbestos of the lung. Asbestos of the lung. And Heather's like, I feel like I failed with this house. When we bought this Beverly Hills house, I had a really good plan. And they were talking about doing this remodel that they were going to put $10 million into this. And it was going to be this big fixer-upper. But we ended up with a contractor that ended up $8 million over the budget that we had previously agreed on. And didn't give us this budget until he had ripped up the house, and now it just doesn't seem like it's worth it anymore. Heather tells Terry it's going to take 3 years to unbuild it, and that means Ace is a senior in high school by the time we move in. And Terry's like, I say we sell it, we move on. Well, first of all, Terry, we have to finish the floors, because to me, it looks like a war zone. And Terry's like, oh, who cares? Whoever buys it, the first thing they're going to do is tear up the floors. And Heather's like, that is so little money to do the floors. And Terry's like, $45,000? And then Terry goes, that's a party you throw at Nobu, isn't it? Hey-o! Terry with a little rib at Heather. Which, by the way, remember when Heather came back 2 seasons ago and they threw out like $35,000 worth of sushi? Oh, remember that when they lived at that big mansion over there? And I was like, oh, I could sneak in there and probably live there for a good year without anybody noticing. Now we're over at Emily's, and Emily's son, Keller, 9 years old, and her other son, Luke, and Emily's trying to feed him like a snack. You want a turkey slice? What do you want? And Luke is very picky with his food that we find out, right? And these little kids are little mini Shanes. Like, even the way, because they're like, oh, when I feed you, you just end up giving it to the dog. And Luke's like, well, at least I fed the dog. And it's like that Shane Simpson smartass kind of thing. So Luke is talking about what he ate at school. And I was like, what did you eat? And he says, pirate booty. And she's like, you ate pirate booty? That's all you ate for lunch? And then he says, I also ate a Gatorade. Listen, I don't know what school this kid is going to. I mean, obviously you can't eat a Gatorade, but whatever, right? These kids are cute. Obviously, when they're not shit-talking Heather Dubrow, am I right? Anyways, Emily sends the kids away. And she says, the boys are almost 10 years old. They are very tiny for their age. They clearly took after Shane, not me. And we see Shane coming down the stairs. And Emily's like, Shane, every night I just give him a bowl of rice. It's like there's no variety. And as a mom, that's so hard. And Shane's like, he doesn't complain though, but we know he's hungry. She says in a talking head, Luke has always been a picky eater, but it's gotten to the point where I say over the last year where it's just he doesn't eat at all. And we flash back to him at the roller skating rink that he says he's not hungry when offered snacks. Imagine a kid that doesn't want like snacks. Like, that is wild. She says 2 months ago, I took Luke to a therapist and she told me that he definitely has ARFID, which stands for Avoidance Restrictive Food Intake Disorder. She tells Shane the nutritionist was explaining to me he doesn't understand that he feels hungry. Food in general disgusts him. God, I wish I was at that place. But I mean, obviously, this is a very real issue. And Shane says, we offer the food to him, but we don't force him. Emily says, the therapist says he also, she asked, is he also susceptible to smells? And I was like, yeah, we'll walk into somebody's house and it'll be like, it stinks in here. Like Heather Dubrow's house. I bet that kid was, this place stinks, Mom. I'm running to the blogs. But Emily's like, I tell him you can't say that in a house. But we have to be more accommodating, Shane, and lenient when it comes to him because he doesn't process the idea of eating like we do. But the problem with him not eating is that I know he gets low energy and it affects his mood. But then he doesn't make that connection that it affects his mood. And Shane's like, no, even in adults, we forget we're hungry and that's why we're cranky. And Emily's like, yeah, but then we realize and we eat. Shane's like, I understand, but saying, that to a 9-year-old. And Emily's like, yeah, but a 9-year-old with a disorder. In a talking head, she says, I do worry about Luke because I say, do you want this? No. And then, no, I don't want this. What do? I don't know what to do. He doesn't eat anything, but he's starving. And then Shane goes, Emily, I got him to eat Wheat Thins. He likes Wheat Thins. He learned about Chex. He likes Chex. Baby steps. She's like, these aren't meals, Shane. I fed him a Thirst Buster. Emily says, I'm worried that he's not getting the nutrition he needs. I'm worried that he's like the weird kid at school that doesn't eat and everybody's going to make fun of him. Oh, just think about that, man. Like, think about what mothers go through of just worrying about their kids nonstop. Now, on the other hand, he's like, my mom, I wish she was still alive so I could ask her what the fuck this was all about. I remember one of my lunches I would get repeatedly. She would send me to elementary school with a tin of Vienna sausages. And it was definitely, without a doubt, I was the weird kid at school. I would bring a tin and you would have to pop open the tin and it's all in this gelatinous sauce, these little wieners. And I was sitting there eating Swedish Vienna sausages. What the fuck, Mom? Mom, wherever you are in heaven or wherever, I know whatever your energy or whatever. Why the Vienna sausages? You really, truly did not set me up for success. Anyway, Shane's like, Emily, we were at the In-N-Out the other day, and there was this nasty burnt brown black fry. And she's like, yeah, did it offend him? Oh, yeah. He was like, ooh. And I said, would you eat it for $20? And he goes, uh-huh. And I was like, really? And he goes, boop. He put it in his mouth. He ate it in 2 seconds, and then he was like, oh, that was nasty, but he had no problem doing it. So he just had to overcome it, Emily. Which I think it was like, I get what you're saying, Shane, but also what you're saying is if we give this kid money, he will literally eat anything that we say. Like, we just need to make more. This kid has $30,000 by the end of Q1 because they're just bribing him to eat like nasty shit. Okay, so we get out of the, but by the way, this is where like the element of reality comes into reality shows. This is obviously a real thing that Emily's dealing with. So now we see Dr. Michaela Sarno, Tamra's psychotherapist. You don't envy this lady. Get ready to lose a business. So Tamra walks in to she goes, it's like, "Hey Tamra, how are you?" And Tamra's like, unwell. And we see like the doctor couches. We see a pillow that says, "Trust me, I'm a doctor." If I saw a doctor with "Trust me, I'm a doctor," I'd be like, I'll see you next time. But she's like, "Are you ready, Tamra?" "No." "Did Eddie drive you today?" "Yeah." And the doctor's like, "I guess we don't have to get you into emotions. Look like you're already there." Because Tamra's already pre-ready for this scene. She's already teary. And she's just like, "I have been crying since last week's session." I mean, not realistic. That's just not possible. But I mean, the therapist is like, "Because of what we talked about? These past 3-4 months, however long it's been, just talking about stuff that I don't want to talk about." The therapist goes, "We've opened up a lot." In a talking head, Tamra says, "I realize that you have to dig up the things that are buried deep inside of you because those are the things that come out when you get angry." And we flash back to last year's reunion. Andy says, "You're starting therapy this week, Tamra. And what are your goals with your therapy?" To find out where that anger stems from." Tamra says, "The custody battle that my ex put me through, my daughter leaving me, my dad leaving us. It's hard. It's hard. And I never really wanted to do it. And here I am." She tells the therapist, my sensory issues are heightened. My intrusive thoughts are out of control right now." Tamra, and we talked about unprocessed trauma and whether or not the spectrum was part of this, because the symptoms can also mimic that. There's too many variables. It's hard to say until you get an assessment. And Tamra's like, "I know when you mentioned that to me, I had gone home and I went on my podcast, 2 T's in the pod, and I misspoke. I shouldn't have said anything." And we flash back. We have a 2 T's in the pod logo, and we hear Tamra's voice. "Teddy, I just did my first therapy session." And Teddy's like, "What?" "I am on the spectrum." And Teddy's like, "Oh my gosh, Tam, no. Oh my gosh." And Tamra's like, "Don't make me cry, Teddy." She goes, "I just got annihilated." And we see all of these headlines pop up of like spectrum of narcissism. Real Housewives of Orange County, Tamra's judge apologizes after revealing she's on the spectrum, says she feels beat down, and admits she spoke too soon. Yeah, you spoke too soon, girl. And Tamra's like, "I remember talking about not wanting to be so responsive." And we see a clip of all these like famous Tamra moments of like from seasons past. "Here's your fucking letter, you bitch." "Oh, go fuck a duck. That's my opinion." And Tamra's like, "I'm harsh with my words sometimes." The therapist is like, "Remember we talked about people with trauma? Don't respond in ways that people are going to expect them to respond because they're responding from their trauma. Since you've been coming to sessions and we started talking about all the things that you have been through, your daughter, Sydney, which is a heavy topic for you. Is that how you associate with Sydney as feeling misunderstood?" "Yeah, she never really gave me a chance. And most of the time I can bury it." We flash back to 2017. We hear Tamra speaking, saying, "I have lived the past 3.5 years in what I call silent pain. I do believe that my daughter will be back one day. Kids deserve to have both parents in their life." The therapist says, "When you think about your current relationships and not wanting to get close to people, I'm so afraid if I get close to people, they'll turn on me, even though I'll badmouth Shannon and Beador and Watch What Happens Live for no good reason." Therapy's working, Tamra. Tamra says, "So I just keep a wall up so I don't get too close. I don't nurture my friendships." In a talking head, she says, "I think my biggest struggle is trusting people. I've got very few people that I can really talk to. I don't want to open up to people because I don't want to get hurt. And it just kind of I just feel like they're just going to let me down. I just don't want to lash out when I'm mad, even if somebody's done me wrong. I want to fix things. And the therapist's like, yeah, that's big. That's big. Good stuff. Real good stuff. But let's not say that you're on the spectrum anymore, okay? Let's not use that willy-nilly. Okay, so now we are on to a Jenn, Pedranti, and Ryan scene. They are shopping at a store called Beach Bunny. Yeah, it's like swimsuits, and she's like, can you get married in cheetah print? And he's like, this is your wedding dress. You can wear a bikini under it. It's like this white little see-through top. And so a customer service person comes up, and I guess they know this shop owner. New store looks beautiful. And Jen's like, we're getting married soon. And he goes, I'm trying to talk her out of it. I'm trying to talk her out of dresses and suits into board shorts and bikinis. Jenn says in a talking head, I don't know, maybe Ryan's logic is get engaged in a bikini, get married in a bikini, because their engagement was on the beach, right? And we flash back to their engagement on the beach. We are engaged! She says a bikini is the closest thing he's going to get to... Guys, this is so ridiculous. They're legitimately shopping for a bikini wedding dress. But Ryan's like, I am all in favor of it. Honey, I like this one. And she's like, that one covers the nipple. And you're like, Ryan's like, we don't need that. I want to see full areola. Jenn says the kids are really excited about the wedding. And we see a flashback of all the kids talking about the wedding, asking if it's going to be an open bar. They're all laughing. And they say the Malibu rum will be flowing that day. Jenn says, we just envision ourselves on the beach, in the sand, in Cabo, and our kids all around us exchanging our vows. Oh, and Malibu rum. That's Ryan's wedding plan. Malibu rum, man. That is a certain type of person. So they're talking about the guest list for their wedding, and Jenn says, when it comes to my friend group, I don't want Tamra at our wedding. And Ryan says, not even in a spiteful, vindictive way, I just have no interest. She says in a talking head, I haven't talked to Tamra, and I don't think I want to talk to her because she's caused pain and havoc, and she's tried to hurt Ryan and I. We flash back to the reunion 4 months earlier, and Tamra goes, I did repeat something I heard on the streets, the mean streets of the OC, that his house was raided by the FBI. And I 100% misspoke. Jenn says, I am not in the best place in my divorce, and Will could have said the kids don't live in a safe space. I'm not comfortable with it. Tamra's careless words could have affected my custody. That's where, like, you get in too deep in Housewives, where it's like, Tamra, touch grass. Don't fucking, like, you really could set off very bad things. She tells Ryan, how was I friends for so many years with this woman, and now I'm a target? You and I, Ryan, are both targets for her. And when Gretchen... So she's about to bring up Gretchen, and then Ryan cuts her off, and she's like, we're targets. We are targets. Jenn says Tamra truly liked Ryan at Cut Fitness. She would like take her shirt off and be like, oh my God, what does it take to get these guys to notice me? Tamra seems like the worst person to work out with. She called me saying, I'm at Hot Gym Guy's house. Should I go upstairs and take one for the team? And now she couldn't be shittier to Ryan. Why? Because he didn't pick you, Tamra? She tells Ryan she's speaking of maybe possibly being in therapy. She wants to get help for herself. Ryan says her persona, just like therapy, it's all fake. It's all fake. She's not doing it for any personal retrospect because the baptism 10 years ago should have been personal retrospect. And then we flash back to 2015. Remember that season when Tamra got baptized? It is so interesting. It's like weird pivots with Housewives of like Teresa with the bodybuilding and like Tamra with the baptism. And you're like, you always wonder, especially with religion, when somebody does something really shitty of like, where was God on that one, dipshit? Like, was God fucking super cool with all of this? Like, where are the daily prayers? What about, it's so wild to me. But I think Ryan is also saying like, oh, she did that 10 years ago with this, and now she's going to therapy, and kind of almost in like, I think subtly suggesting that this is a storyline. And Jenn says, I don't know, if God can't save your soul, I don't know what therapist can help you. And then she's like, let's try on bathing suits. All right. You are going to be kicked out of the dressing room, young man, while I put this on. And he's like, I'm ready to see my soon-to-be bride in her wedding bikini. And she comes out, and he's like, no way. I can see labia. This is amazing. And she looks great. I whatever, And he's like, I do. I guess this is romantic in some way, in some kind of like penthouse forum, Motley Crue kind of way. And Ryan's always in some like kind of like ski vest. Like, what is going? Why are you in a puffer coat? My God. So we get out of that scene. And where do we land next? We're seeing the nightlife of the OC, and we're at Oliver's Trattoria. We see Heather Dubrow coming in to meet some girls for dinner. Tamra Judge is one of these ladies. Emily Simpson is another one of these ladies. And Emily comes in first and meets Heather. They hug. I love Heather's out. She always is like, always in like just all black accoutrement everywhere. So they're like, hey, how are you? What's going on? And Heather goes, Emily's like, how's your birthday, Heather? And speaking of birthdays, Emily, I have something for you. Remember, Heather always brings gifts anywhere she goes. And Emily's like, I didn't even get anything for you. That is okay. I was in Paris, and it's like this little scarf tie thing. And Heather's like, I like a monogram. And Emily's like, oh my God, it has an E on it. I appreciate the gift. She goes, it's very thoughtful. I'm just a little surprised that it didn't have an HD anywhere on it. And we flash back to all the times that Emily made fun of Heather for having Heather Dubrow branding everywhere. Emily says, what's going on with the kids? Everyone's good, Emily. Max is in Paris. Up and down. Max has always had anxiety. And I looked at this kid 6 years ago. I would have said, what? She's going to go study abroad in Paris? And I was like, is the cat in Paris? Yes. And he has a beret. And we see Vincent. Is this the cat? Vincent? Yeah, in a little beret. When you have a beret on a cat, that means you have too much money. And then Emily's like, is it monogrammed? No, it is not, because I didn't buy it. Heather in a talking head says, who can be sad in Paris? You can't have anxiety in Paris. Paris is perfect. They have croissants and Hermes and caviar. She's vegetarian, but you know what I mean. Heather always I'm doing a very comic bit. So they're trying to decide what they're going to eat. Meatballs. What will Tamra eat? She likes balls. Hey-oh. We see Tamra finally walk in. Hey, hi, how are you doing? You look great. Hug, kiss. It's the normal greetings. Takes like way too long. Let's just get to the meat of the scene. So they ask, Tamra, how you going? Good. They say that Tamra looks good, but that her face looks super skinny. And Tamra says, I've lost a lot of weight because of stress. Why are you stressed? I don't know. I think it's just going through the process of doing therapy. It's been 4 months. How do you feel about it, Tamra? And she goes, I'm getting very soft. Heather in a talking head says, I'm really proud of her for going to therapy. A softer, calmer Tamra is good for everyone. Tamra goes, I went to dinner with Katie. She wanted to go to the Quiet Woman. And I was like, of course you wanted to go to the Quiet Woman. And then Heather goes, does anything good ever happen at the Quiet Woman? No, it's a place where John Janssen just finds bone zones. Anyways, we flash back to an iconic Shannon scene of it's not my fucking plate from 2017. It truly is there's a Horcrux at the Quiet Woman. Tamra says it's not even quiet at the Quiet Woman. It's very loud. Food is getting delivered. Tamra says, I haven't talked to her in quite a while. So she says, why did you block me on Instagram? So I said, you don't know why I blocked you, Katie? There was this content creator that was putting stories out there that I ran these trolls account. And they've blurred out the name of the blogger, but it's the Bravo Babe. And it says, reading the latest Tamra Judge rumors that she feeds blogs and is behind the production leaks. So this is what Tamra is referring to. She's like, I run these troll accounts. So I went on Instagram and I said, what you're saying is a lie and you will hear from my attorney. And we see all these headlines pop up. And then Tamra goes, Katie reached out to the girl. And Heather's like, zoinks. And Emily's like, I told you. And Tamra's like, and then when I accused her of calling this blogger to console her for attacking me, I caught her in a lie. We flash back to 5 days earlier with Tamra with Katie. And Tamra's like, Katie, you reached out to her to console her. And Katie goes, she reached out to me, by the way. She reached out to me, by the way. And Tamra's like, she put it out there that you called her. And we get, I think this is from the Vault podcast, which I think I'm on this week, actually. I did this podcast a couple weeks ago that was great. And I think it's being released any day now. But we hear, I think the Bravo babe on this podcast saying, Katie from OC, when she saw Tamra's story addressing me, I caught her in, she's addressing me. She DM'd me immediately. And so Tamra's playing this for Katie, and Katie's like, that is just not true. When she reached out to me, I responded, I did. I didn't have her number. I didn't even remember her name. I'm going to go home, Tamra, and I'm going to figure it out. I will search through my DMs. I will prove it to you. So Katie doubling down. Now, the Bravo babe, from my understanding, is that Katie did call her. And now Katie is lying about this. And it is interesting because it just shows what a tangled web housewives weave, is that this started with Tamra and the Bravo babe. And then then Katie reached out to the Bravo babe. And now Tamra was after the Bravo babe. I think Tamra is fine. It's so fucking mangled. Yeah. Katie just is lying in these scenes, and it sucks because she doesn't have to say, yeah, you're damn right I reached out to her. I think she just got lost in the sauce being I really don't know. I hope there is not something more devious here about Katie that we just don't see. But Emily's like, she's a liar. And Heather's like, why is she trying to hurt everyone? Tamra says, one thing I've learned in therapy is when you do have trauma, it comes out in different ways. Maybe she reaches out to people like the bloggers because they're giving her love and she didn't have love. Now, I know there's some people that are just way out there and they're just evil. I don't see that with Katie. Tamra tells the ladies she's got an excuse for everything. And Emily says, Jenn said that about Katie, that her stories don't add up, that she has an excuse for everything. And Heather's like, I thought Jenn and her were best friends. And Emily goes, she also said that she was a con artist. So Jen Pedranti allegedly said that Katie is a con artist. And Heather's like, she told you that? And Emily goes, she told Jeana that. She told Jeana. And we flash back to 1 week earlier on the beach with Jeana talking to Jenn. And Gina's going, you used the word con artist, Jenn. And Jenn goes, I did? Yeah. And Shannon's like, about who? About Katie. And then Jenn goes, that's terrible. Like, Jenn acts like I did? Did I do that? Like, what? Heather in this scene goes, does Katie know she feels this way? Emily goes, I don't think so, but I'm happy to tell her. Tamra goes, Jenn has a habit of telling people what they want to hear. Well, but why wouldn't she just defend her friend? And Tamra goes, well, that's what a normal person would do. I've learned that in therapy. Tamra says she's sending out save the dates or something like that. I'm pretty sure I'm not invited. Emily goes, do you think you'll be a bridesmaid? And Tamra's like, and they just laugh. Tamra's like, I don't even think I'll be cleaning the bathrooms. Let's laugh. Oh, life's a chuckle. So now we have Jeana and Emily in a car ride over to meet Katie. And Emily's like, you gotta help me because I am livid. And why would she do this? And Gina's like, okay, we just got to go in, and try to get her to understand this. And Emily starts getting emotional and goes, you don't understand. Like, I'm just dealing with a lot of family stuff. We think Luke has autism. And this is wild in the same episode as Tamra just completely buffooning her way into a spectrum diagnosis. But her son, Luke, actually is dealing with this. And Gina's like, I know you had said that he had the eating disorder. And Emily's like, the therapist told me that the eating disorder is very common with the autism. And she's like, really? Yeah, he has to go to a specialist and test intense testing. And basically what we learn from that is where he lies on the spectrum. And then I just felt like the worst mom because I'm like, there's always these things. Sound bothers him. Smells bothers him. Textures bother him. Tamra bothers him. Heather Dubrow bothers him. Do I just ignore them? Emily asks. And Gina's like, it's the same way that I felt when Sienna was diagnosed with sensory issues, right? Like it took a teacher to point it out to me. And I remember feeling the exact way, Jeana tells Emily. I felt like I failed as a mom because how did I not see this? How did I not know this? She says, when Sienna was diagnosed with her sensory processing disorder, I felt immediately guilty, Jeana lets us know in a talking head. We flash back to 2019 when the lady is, the therapist is telling her about her daughter, saying, it's like, it's affecting her motor skills. I'm going to recommend therapy for her. So Jeana says, her heart just breaks for my friend because I know, even though she is the most incredible mom, I know she feels guilty. And it's hard to watch your friend struggle. So this is real life issues. But I will say this also colors the scene we're about to go into, because Emily is dealing with all this intensity and doesn't want to deal with Katie's bullshit, right? Emily says, I can't even explain to you, Jeana, how emotionally tapped out I am. And Gina's like, oh my God, I'm so sorry. It's just tough. I know. So the producers are like, yeah, tapped out. That makes for good reality television. Let's get the emotional tapped out into this scene immediately. So Katie's there on her phone, probably talking to some blogger. And Emily and Jeana come out to meet her. They got some donuts and coffee. And Katie's like, hey, hi. And Katie's like, what the fuck, Jeana, in a talking head? This is an ambush. She didn't know Emily was coming. This is bullshit, Katie says. Jeana goes, I honestly didn't want her to know that Emily was coming because I didn't want her to have some pre-thought up excuse for what she did. The truth will set you free, bitch. Katie goes, how are you guys? And Jeana's like, I'm all right. Probably Emily's been better. She's upset, obviously. For me, I just kind of felt like after everything that happened, Katie, last year, I lost a lot of trust with you. We flash back to last season with Heather Dubrow going, you told Katie that the only reason you keep me close is because of my real estate connections. And Gina's like, what? In this scene, Jeana goes, I know that you reached out to me. And so I picked up the phone and I called your best friend, Jenn Pedranti. And we had a couple of conversations where Jenn was questioning your motives, Katie, your behavior. She didn't think that things added up with you. She had a conversation where she even used the word con artist. That's why, Jeana, busts out Jenn. That's not my word, Katie. That's Jenn Pedranti's word, the one who dresses up in a bikini for her wedding. Katie in a talking head goes, I don't believe for a goddamn second that Jenn called me a con artist. She tells Jeana, if I was a con artist in her mind, she wouldn't talk to me. Come on, I talk to that woman 10 times a day. I just remember, Jeana, you saying we have to move on. We all talk shit about each other. I know, that's fine. But you don't have to talk to all these bloggers. The bloggers. There's a difference. And then Katie goes, because of your ex-nanny, Emily, who came to me? And Emily's like, yeah. Katie goes, oh, I should have ignored her then. Okay? But I was pissed. And then Emily's like, that's not an excuse, Jeana. It sounds like Isabella from the Valley. That's not a fucking excuse. You're going to go into the cage match right now. I'm Emily the Destroyer. It's not an excuse. If you're pissed at me, then you deal with me, Katie Janela. You don't think I've gone to a reunion? If I'm pissed at her for 2 fucking years, I had to deal with people coming after my husband and my marriage. I don't give a shit, Katie. I don't give a shit. And they're all just talking over each other. We've all been there, Katie. We've all dealt with it. And I didn't retaliate by bringing somebody's kids into it. I don't do that because I have boundaries and you don't. I'm the person in the background trying to enjoy a coffee. I'm like, what the fuck is going on there? And then she finally starts coming. She's like, don't bring my kids into it. Do you understand that? Do you understand that, Katie? And Katie's like, I understand. I understand, Emily. And then it was like, then why did you do it? And Katie goes, if somebody was saying something mean and you bringing up my legal battles, Emily, and custody, that's not equal. On the same page. We flash back to 5 months earlier, Emily talking to Katie saying, this has to do with the kids. We'll never talk about it again. That's the way it should have been. And Katie's like, from now on, that will happen. Emily says, but my kids are pawns in this game again. Katie in the talking head goes, she broke that at the reunion talking about my children. So I think it's actually her fault we're sitting here talking about this. In the scene, Emily goes, what I said, I did it to your face. And then Jeana goes, you could apologize for going into her past, Emily, because that's not correct, you know? And Emily's like, yeah, I'm sorry. And Katie's like, I appreciate that. I'm sorry I went about it the way I did. I was pissed. And I was also in like protect mode. And Emma's like, I appreciate your apology, but I don't have any trust in you. And Katie's like, okay. Jeana and I talking, that goes, I mean, I understand Emily's not just going to jump back in a relationship with Katie. I mean, I understand, but I think that at least it's progress. At least they're moving in the right direction. And then Katie hugs Jeana. She has to go. And then she goes to hug Emily, and Emily's like, I'm good. And Katie kind of laughs and goes, bye. And talking to Jeana's like, on second thought, this might not be working out after all. Oh, this might take a little while. Anyways, Emily and Jeana, they're like, let's walk to the car. And then they start putting their donuts in their pockets of their coats. Never change, Emily and Jeana. Never change. I love it. Now we see a round robin of the ladies getting ready for Shannon's Golden Door retreat. I love that Emily comes out in an outfit and Annabelle, her daughter's like, no, God, no. But if you look on Emily's nightstand, there's like books on there. And one is a book that says The Menendez Brothers. Just a little light reading before slumber. Jenn Pedranti's daughter, Everly, Jen's like, oh, we're going to this Golden Door. Like Oprah's been there. And then Everly's like, who's Oprah? And at that point, I was just like, open the schools. Like, my God, we don't even know who Oprah is anymore. What is happening in this world? Heather Dubrow is trying on things in front of Ace, her son. I don't know. It's cutesy, but they're just all dressing up. Emily is now doing like cheers in front of Annabelle, and Annabelle's like, millennials are cringe, Mom. Oh my God, you are so embarrassing. And then Tamra is doing her hair. Eddie's in there petting the dog. And Tamra's like, today's going to be a good day. And Eddie's like, it's a good day if you make it a good day, babe, which is very Danny Bucco from the Valley. It's a good day to have a good day. All right. And then Tamra's like, if it's not a good day, I'm just going to bring my gummies. That's a nice Vina CBD plug right there. Her gummy company. We meet Claire, Shannon's assistant Claire, which Claire, you should come on the podcast. Let's do, we're going to get all the employees of anybody that works for the Housewives on the show. Anyways, Shannon is talking about a retreat she's been on in the past, that iconic one where they did the sound bath. And she's like, I had a bowl on my head. And somebody took a mallet and whacked me. Remember that iconic moment? I believe it was Kelly Dodd that whacked her. I love that Shannon didn't even mention Kelly Dodd's name. Somebody whacked me, and I started to see fuzzy in one eye, Claire. I went to the hospital. I was fine. So I thought I'm going to put some gift bags together for the girls. And we see like Tamra has a bag. They're all like labeled Golden Door Tamra. Shannon goes, just because I hugged Tamra doesn't negate all of the attacks last year. And we see all of the clips of Tamra coming for Shannon last season. And I thought Tamra kissed Shannon's ass on that final scene last season after the reunion. And I thought Tamra would come in a little bit softer. And then after Watch What Happens Live tonight, I was livid. Shannon goes, my intent in inviting Tamra is now not that we can heal our friendship. It's so that she's given an opportunity to heal herself. Shannon tells Claire, I just don't need to be best friends with everybody. Healthy. We go to Tamra. Tamra tells Eddie, I'm just a little bit nervous about going into this. I'm not going to beg for somebody's friendship, but it's just amazing how she can throw friendships away like that. Tamra goes, sometimes I get sad that we're not friends anymore. Shannon betrayed me in the worst way, a 10-year friendship. So we flash back to last season when Tamra was explaining to Heather that Simon got cancer and Shannon would not respond to her texts. I still am siding with Shannon in this. I'm sorry. I don't see this at all. I think this is bully fucking behavior. Tamra says, I haven't had a chance to talk to Shannon yet, but how can you get close to anybody, especially Shannon, that will just turn on you like that? I just don't understand, Eddie, how she can be so heartless. Oh my God, like a perpetual victim. And then she's strong in every other facet of her life. She'll come for anybody and then she plays victim. It is so frustrating to watch. I love her. I never want to leave her to leave this show. Okay, so now we are finally at the Golden Door, guys. And Shannon's walking in, and we meet Kathy, the chief operating officer. And Shannon's like, "Hi there," and Kathy's like, "Hi, welcome back, Shannon. I'm so excited. It's gonna be so zen for you and your friends. Zen is needed. Yes, come on in, Shannon. There's something magical about the energy in this place." And we see all the gold doors, and Shannon's like, "The intentions you set when you walk through the doors, and you can't put a price on that, even though they do put a price on it. It's $12,950 for 8 days. But I come out a better person. While I go down and greet your friend, Shannon, Debbie Ann's going to come up here and take good care, okay? Sound good? Thank you so much. I'm going to set up the gift bags. Thank you. I have never been when someone famous is here, but I hear Julia Roberts, Susan Sarandon, Oprah Winfrey, Elizabeth Taylor, and Zsa Zsa Gabor used to frequent the Golden Door, and my grandmother." And we see a picture of Kathleen, Shannon's grandmother. Debbie Ann comes up. "You look fabulous, Shannon." "Well, I'm working on it." And she's like, "It's going to be such a magical day, Shannon, here. It's magical. Because we know the outside world can do a number." And then Shannon's like, "Sometimes the inside world can too." I made a funny. Okay, so now we see the girls starting to arrive. Tamra, Heather, Jeana. "Welcome to the Golden Door. Welcome to the Golden Door. Welcome to the Golden Door." Gina's like, "Hi, Shannon. Hi." So everybody's greeting each other at the Golden Door. Shannon's, accepting all of the hugs. We're all around this like bamboo forest, it looks like. Tamra's like the, last one to come in. And Gina's like, "Why do you look down, Tamra? Is it because of Teddy? How's she doing?" And Tamra's like, "Not well. She's on the spectrum." No, obviously Teddy is going through what she's going through. Jeana goes, "I don't know what's going on except what I see on Instagram." And Tamra says, "Teddy just found out she has multiple brain tumors and she's currently in the ICU. And I am a shell of a person right now because I can't imagine my life without my best friend. And I've got to put on a brave face, and it's not easy." And by the way, this part, I completely think it would wreck anybody, even Tamra. So Shannon and the Talking Head says, "It's horrible with Teddy. I intended to have a conversation with Tamra about our friendship, and I'm putting that on hold for now because I do have compassion for what she's going through emotionally." Tamra would not have that same compassion for you. Emily, I think, Emily comes in, and I think they're saving Jenn or Gina's. Sorry. I am getting, it's not been that long since I talked about OC, but I'm getting all of the names. I might be having a stroke. But Katie Janela is the last one to come in. And that's on purpose because they want all of these ladies to gather and potential talk shit about a cast member. And they'll usually schedule that last cast member to walk in last. They do that every reality show, right? Who knows? Emily asked Shannon, "Why did you invite Katie today?" And Shannon's like, "One of the issues that I come to the Golden Door for is to get clarity. So I thought, what a great opportunity to come down here and see if we can try and heal and move on." Gina's like, "I'm telling you, I don't trust this girl. Behind closed doors, and I was like, she's on her phone all the time trying to damage us." And then Emily goes, "I made a list of things that Katie has done," and we see the list in a split screen. And the list says, "Katie lies," and then they blanked out one word. "Katie lied and blank things she's done to all of us. 1, you lied about the paparazzi photo. 2, you lied about Heather snubbing you at a party. 3, you lied and said you owned your home in San Diego. You reached out to Jeana under false pretenses that you were buying a home in Newport, when in reality you wanted to infiltrate this group of friends." This sounds like Janet. Just joking. You lied repeatedly about conversations you had with Jeana where you claimed Jeana talked badly about Heather. You and your daughter both lied about my boys. In parentheses, kids are off limits. After the weekend, Kylie babysitted them, by the way, which absolutely was the last time Kylie ever stayed with my children. 6, you and I had a responsible conversation and both agreed and established boundaries at Jenn's engagement party. Your agreement to abide by those boundaries was a lie. 7, your daughter's lies about me on a podcast. 8, you received defamatory and gross DMs about my children, and you received received photos of my minor children who were 6 and 8 years old at the time. Then you disseminated photos of my minor children to those podcast bottom feeding bitches to publicly publish those lies about doing it. Wow. 9, your own best friend says she doesn't trust you. Your stories don't add up. 10, your daughter makes defamatory and gross TikToks about us. 11, you lie about wanting to visit. Anyways, Emily's like, that is just my short Cliff Notes list. Gina's like, you think this place is going to fix her, Shannon? Shannon's like, this is a place. This is a place of This is a place of healing. And Gina's like, is it like a baptism lake or something? I'm going to dunk this girl. Hold her down for a minute. And I was like, how about an exorcism? Heather goes, I don't feel vindicated that people see Katie's behavior now. I feel slightly annoyed that no one believed me last year, she says in a talking head. But I'll tell you something, when I get a bad feeling about somebody, I am never wrong. Gina's like, this is so uncomfortable. And then they're like, Jenn and Katie are walking up right at the end of this conversation, right? So obviously it's awkward. Like, what's going on? Emily doesn't hug Katie again. So just super ox. So then Shannon, there's two groups of ladies split up. One, they're doing like a drum circle, and one group of ladies is doing Tai Chi. And this Shannon, she's like in the Blue Man Group or something. She's like a fucking Nick Cannon drum line. She's like, dum, 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 dum. We got to get her with the Grateful Dead or something, like doing drums in space. But Shannon loves, like Shannon's in heaven in this drum. So they do this whole drum thing, fun. And then the Tai Chi, you got Jeana, Tamra, and they're just shaking out their bodies. Heather Dubrow's in there as well. And Tamra is like, all I think about is Emily's killing Katie right now out there at the drum circle. It's all I can think about, right? So obviously, still everybody is mad at Katie. Tamra tells the Tai Chi ladies, just keep Jenn away from me today. I am just in no space to deal with any of her nonsense. Which is like, Tamra, in therapy, you got to realize you're the one bringing the nonsense, but I understand you do not need a fight today. But you also have to be realistic about other people and the pain that you bring them. Now, out with Katie in the drum circle, Katie says, Jenn, how do you feel about Tamra being here? And Jenn's like, I mean, whatever. Well, who cares? And then we flash back to Tamra goes, what is she angry about? Because I said, how's the FBI doing? And Heather goes, what happened since the reunion that has... And then Tamra's like, oh, other than them constantly going after me? A perpetual fucking victim. Like, does Teddy cover OC with Tamra on Two T's in the Pod? Because even Teddy, like, Tamra, come on. Like, do they call each other out on their own bullshit? Tamra in a talking head says, Jenn and Ryan have been so aggressive on social media. It is disgusting. Hashtag your time is up. And we see, I love that Ryan's Instagram is dick pic shop. But yeah, Ryan goes after Tamra. I'm reading a comment of Ryan said, Tamra, you are played out. Your stick is old. And we, the fans of the show, have evolved and grown up. Your lying, scheming, self-produced drunkenness, nakedness, trailer trash behavior is circa 10 years ago. It's not cute anymore. In fact, it's gross and we're over it. Just take a look in the mirror. Or if self-reflection isn't your thing, just read the comments on your blogs, Bravo TV, your own podcast, or your own personal social media. Hashtag it's time with the peace emojis. So Ryan is going after Tamra, but Tamra stirred this up. But Tamra's like, oh, I got to be careful because Ryan's going to sue me. Jenn says in a talking head, do I take an occasional jab on social media? I do. Tamra says, I live rent-free in her head. And then we see Jenn and they superimpose Tamra's face over her head. I mean, that's like that's like Avatar kind of special effects. It's amazing. Jenn says, I know now she's on some tyrant. I think she meant tirade. She's on some tyrant that, now we're like this Sue happy couple. And we flash back to 2024 after Watch What Happens Live when Tamra misspoke about Ryan and the FBI, and Ryan served her with papers, and there was an apology video of Tamra and Eddie walking down a New York street saying, I didn't mean to say that Ryan stole the money. I meant Vina made more money than what was stolen. Vita's her gummies. I didn't mean Ryan, so I apologize for that. And Emily's like, what are you talking about? And Jen's like, the cease and desist. And Emily goes, it gets murky because he took a picture of it and then he collaborated with those two podcast girls and they posted it. So all about the Real Housewives podcast. I'm so bad. I reached out to them a long time ago to have them on the show, and they said yeah, and then I never followed up. But I still would have them on. But it's so wild. They get involved in all this shit. Like, I do not want, like, it's just, I already have a hard time sleeping at night. No way. And Emily goes, I feel like that is a shitty thing to do on that side. There has to be some boundaries is what I'm saying. And Jenn goes, I didn't care at that point, Emily. Yeah, I mean, I like that Jenn is standing up for herself. Is it dirty? A little bit, but like, fight dirt with dirt sometimes. But Emily now is begging for boundaries across the board with all of these ladies. And that is tough when you are in a housewife situation. So now all the ladies are coming together for lunch, the Tai Chi and the drum circle. And Jeana, talking head, is like, Shannon had crystals in her walls. You know, she's used to like paying for things that don't do anything. Which I was like, that's an obvious John Janssen joke, but she's talking about crystals here. It's like her jam to do this, right? So all the ladies are awkwardly sitting around this table, making small talk about the drumming and the Tai Chi. And I'm like, when is it going to pop off here? What's going to happen? Emily says, I feel calmer now. I only want to kill 2 people. Shannon is just kind of just going, okay. And then Katie goes, ladies, I just wanted to say I'm going to host a lunch on Friday. And there's silence. Katie goes, I feel like this last year, I haven't really gotten to know everyone that well. And not everyone's gotten to know me. And like, there's a lot that's clouded us getting to know each other a little more. So I wanted to see if you guys wanted to join me for Hot Pot. And Jen's like, okay, fun. Nobody else says anything. And then Gina's like, so an olive branch. And Emily's just like, huh. So I would love it if you guys would join on Friday for Hot Pot. And Jen's like, yeah, I'll be there. I'm excited. And it's like just so awkward. Katie in a talking head says, in the Asian culture, hot pot, you come around a table and it's where you share community and love, and it's where everyone feels at home. Jeana says, I want to know less about Katie, and that's the problem. See, this is what I don't get. Like, I think they're doing these talking heads after knowing so much more information than the audience does, so it does come off a little dickish in some ways, because you're like, well, if you get to know somebody, maybe you would find out why this person is doing this. But I feel like they even know more, like I said, than the audience does, so that's where is coloring these talking heads. Jeana in the scene says, I think the problem is that the things that you're doing in this group, it feels like you are trying to hurt all of us. And then Heather goes, you've got to stop with the bloggers. And Jenn goes, but the difference for me is I've taken the time with Katie. I know there's a lot of missed stories. And Gina's like, and you still have concluded, Jenn, that you are concerned and confused about some of the things that you're hearing from her. And then Katie goes, I asked Jenn if she called me a con artist, Jeana. She said she never said that. And then we cut to 5 hours earlier, Jenn and Katie in a car. And Jenn says, Katie, she did tell me I said that. And then I said, wow, that wasn't very nice of me. And Katie goes, it's manipulation. So I love that Jeana allegedly on Jenn's side says Gina's just making this up entirely. Jenn in the scene goes, I don't really know if I used that word about you. Why is it this cloudy? Jenn in a talking head says the things that don't add up with Katie are not these big catastrophic things. If you say to Katie, you probably shouldn't talk to bloggers, Katie will say, I don't, because she doesn't view these people to be bloggers. She views them to be friends. That's a very dark thought. We then flash back to that car ride and Katie tells Jenn, I was invited to one of their birthday parties last week. Oh my God. Should I invite her to, I don't know. I don't think I'm having an event coming up, but maybe I'll ask Katie if she wants to go see a movie or something. Jenn in the talking head says, so when I ask Katie questions and she says, I just leave it at that. And then back to the car scene, Jenn asks Katie, how do you know all of them? And Katie says, mutual people. What does that mean? Mutual people? In the scene, Jenn goes, what does it matter? Does it affect you or Travis or me and Ryan? And Emily says, I had to hire an attorney to sue the nanny. Do you understand that? I have to send a cease and desist for invasion of privacy and defamation. And I have to pay this attorney who is very expensive. And if you ignored it, I wouldn't have to be dealing with this. So Emily literally having to fork over money. How am I supposed to meet with my attorney and have conversations about suing someone and then go sit with you and be like, tell me about your life, Katie? How do I do that? I mean, Emily makes a very strong point. Heather says, after the reunion, it was this very clear, no more digging up information. We all have to come from a good place, and that can't happen anymore. But then it did happen again. This thing that happened with Tamra, with that person, saying that she was running fake accounts. And Tamra's like, no, this girl was attacking me on social media. And she said that you and Matt called her. So this is the Bravo babe again. And we go back to that Vault podcast where we hear the Bravo babe say, Katie said not to take Tamra seriously. She went too far. And she gave me a phone call with her husband next to her. And they just calmed me down. Made me feel like, nothing is going to happen. So this is why, this is Katie's getting lost in the sauce. Katie tells the ladies, she DM'd me first. She's always saying kind things to me, very kind-hearted. I'd say thank you or whatever, our exchange. But I never called her. I don't know what her first name is. The producer in a talking head asked Katie, why would the blogger lie and say that you called her if you didn't call her? And then Katie goes, bloggers lie about a lot. Bloggers want clickbait because that's how they make money. Now, listen, the Bravo babe, I've talked to her a couple times, seems really nice, seems really into Bravo. Creators, I don't like this misconception, and I know this is a nitpicky thing. You realize 98, 99% of us doing this stuff don't make any money? And it's taken me 6 years to get to a point where I can do this as my full living. And we all do things differently. What the Bravo babe does, I wouldn't do. What what I do, the Bravo babe wouldn't do. It's like we all do our own thing, right? But I don't think the Bravo babe is out there making money hand over fist. I think she does this because she genuinely likes to be in the mix. That is, and so it is that to me kind of bothered me that Katie said, because it's just like, you realize that most of the people that you're dealing with online don't make shit. And to put that out there is just false. There isn't all of this. All about the Real Housewives podcast and blog, they've been able to monetize their podcast and their blog. That is a monetization thing. But, the Bravo babe, I think, is somebody that's trying to get there and trying to work their way up. So it's just, I think, a false it's a misconception she's putting out there. And Katie goes, I told Tamra I want to prove that to her, and I needed to look. I haven't even looked. And Gina's like, well, look now. Look. So after that scene where she said, I'm going to go home and find those DMs, you know how easy it is to find a DM? It's pretty easy. And Katie just goes, unreal. And Gina's like, you could clear up the truth right now for yourself. And then Katie goes, right, but SOS, I have no service. And this is when I was like, oh, it's getting weird, Katie. Even if you don't have service, you can open Instagram and see DMs. You can't scroll down all the way, but you can start. You could show okay, here it is. This is the part where I started getting really weirded out by Katie. Heather in a talking head goes, that's convenient. Huh. And Katie's showing her phone. Look, no network. See, no network. I'm low network. Tamra says, I would be climbing that tree to get reception. I'd be up there. Hold on, guys. I almost got it. Now, the funny thing is, if we asked Tamra to show her phone, I bet we could find some wild DMs on there as well with people giving information. We have this happen so many times with so many housewives. So nobody has the moral high ground if you truly think about it. But Katie, I feel is so caught in a lie here, and it's a bummer. I have no network connection. No, I don't even know this phone, AT&T. Shannon in a talking head goes, after spending 8 days here at the Golden Door, I had to use the landline. But anyways, they're like, go on the Wi-Fi then. And Shannon's like, no, I have zero service here too. She's telling the truth. Gina's like, I couldn't get out my phone out quicker. If I was telling the truth, I'd want to prove you wrong. Katie has the power right now to end all of this. If she would just pull out her phone and show that she did not do that to everybody, we could all move forward as a group. Why doesn't she just pull it up? This is the chance, Katie. It's right now. So Gina's really going in. And I think part of that is just to protect Emily. And then Katie goes, this is between me and Tamra, Gina. And Jeana turns to Tamra and goes, she wants to go back and get rid of it then. That's what she wants to do. And Katie's like, no, I don't. And they're like, just pull it up. Pull it up. And Katie goes, I know, Jeana. And Gina's like, now it looks bad, Katie. It looks bad. And it's just so, what a weird moment. And I feel for Katie in certain ways, but that scene was like, ooh, you're busted. You're busted. And just come clean. Come clean. I don't know. Anyway, so that's our first episode. Man, we went really long. I did do like an hour opening, but the OC is back. I hope you enjoyed this. I know the world is so crazy right now. This is meant to be a respite for you and to have some laughs, and for me to try to take out my aggression and my feelings with the world right now. And we can all kind of laugh and joke about these ladies. But thank you for being here as always. If you get a chance, leave a 5-star review on Apple Podcasts and Spotify. If you follow me on YouTube, make sure you're subscribed to the channel. On Patreon, I'll be doing 2 episodes this weekend, a Valley After Show recap, which should be interesting, and a Q&A. If you're in the Patreon, make sure you get your questions in by Saturday so I can put those episodes out over the weekend. And I'll talk to you guys on Monday for a pop culture roundup. Have the best weekend ever, or at least try to. Bye, guys.